Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for permanent weight loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Some of my very favorite clients that I work with are women in business, can be men in business as well, entrepreneurs, and high performers. I have worked with a lot of medical professionals as well, especially emergency medicine, emergency nursing, emergency doctors, ICU, paramedics, flight nurses. The more adrenaline, right? The more that the panic or need for weight loss, fast, now, especially with the education on how our health can be affected by gaining weight, just can exacerbate the situation, but makes for the people that I can help the most. And obviously, my background being a nurse, and I worked in the ICU, so emergency medicine, surgery, that has me relate. And also my years of experience getting leadership, communication, coaching, development definitely helps me to understand that. And also being in business now for 11 years after zero intention of ever being a business owner or ever even considering myself to be a businesswoman, through all of the mistakes I made and through all of the learnings I've had, it just really helps me to be able to better serve these specific individuals. On top of that, obviously those who are struggling with their weight, and that being something that is top of mind very readily, is something I can also very much relate to, as I was dieting since I was 8 years old and never felt like I was ever able to really crack the code on permanent weight loss. And what I've found is that it all really goes hand in hand. And part of why my program is called Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss is because we are really working on some of these background patterns, some of these underlying foundational reasons as to why we haven't been able to master permanent weight loss, which ends up being some of these more ways of being in life, which I'm going to get into, as well as maybe some unconscious blocks that could be going on in the background. And obviously my discovering hypnosis in 2011 to support myself in getting free from food, body, and weight issues, despite my skepticism on hypnosis after trying every diet in the world and losing weight and gaining weight and all of the drama, to see how effective that was for me, and then just really wanting to educate myself and learn every holistic way to get past any anxiety that I was feeling in my life and produce easier, faster, better results, right? Led me to, anyway, be that full, whole, comprehensive coach, along with traveling the world and seeing different eating patterns and, family dynamics in cultures. And anyway, just allows for there to be, that integrity to really support someone with where they're at. So on today's podcast episode, I'm specifically going to be talking about why it's especially challenging for business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs, high performers to master the weight loss thing, and in a way deeper way than maybe what you've heard before. And so prior to us getting deeper into it, I think it's important to share, I think what we surface level know as leaders, busy professionals, is the reality of what's going on in our 3D reality that makes losing weight challenging. So for example, right, time constraints, like your calendar is super full, you've got back-to-back things. You're also juggling family stuff and life stuff and relationship stuff and maybe parent stuff, aging parents and all of this stuff. Okay. So obviously that makes it challenging to exercise and eat right and make good decisions. We know this. Yeah. And we know this. Another thing, just the stress, right, that comes along with that, and just our mental health from just being really burnt out that can, increase emotional eating. Again, we know this. So when people come onto calls with me, it's like they're sharing these types of things, and it's like we know this. It's not news. Yeah, it's like we know it, we get it, etc. Also, work-life balance. I don't have a work-life balance, and I don't have enough time for self-care. It kind of goes back to time. Societal expectations. You may feel that pressure to, obtain a certain appearance, especially as a woman, of like, I need to look a certain way in order to be respected or to be seen as a leader, which can lead to additional stress and, body image expectation being there as well. There can be a lack of support. If you're a leader, it may feel isolating because maybe there isn't as many people that you can go to safely because you're leading all those people. That could, give you that emotional release valve and your power back to be able to lead more effectively. Diet and nutrition, obviously, especially, with business travel or networking events and client meetings and, right, inconsistent eating patterns. I have a client right now who, she's receiving all these amazing awards in her industry. And, she's coming back and saying, I just have no motivation. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm this and I'm that. And therefore, I'm not working out enough. I'm not eating the right things. And she's beating herself up for it. So again, we're going to get into the deeper stuff and how transformation actually gets to occur versus if you just hire a personal trainer or a nutritionist. If you haven't heard my episode, probably 10 or so back, I talk about the difference between personal trainers and nutritionists and having a coach or doing the permanent weight loss program. Both are fine choices to make, and it's just, educating you in the difference so you can make the choice that actually you resonate with through your being educated. And then sleep and recovery. So you might know that you're not good with sleep, that sleep is hard to come by with your demanding work schedule or demanding life with family issues or anything else that's going on that can affect weight loss, your metabolism, and your overall health. So again, that's kind of like a personal trainer would just help you stay accountable. A nutritionist would help you come up with meal plans that you can use or, whatever have you. Pardon my dog barking. She's good at that. Hey, Zara. Hi. Do you want to say hi in my podcast? My little Pomeranian back there. So those are like the main things. And that would be addressed by a fitness trainer, right? Something like that, a nutritionist. And they're valid, but when it comes to, again, that permanent and lasting change, let's talk about some of the deeper constructs of why do we end up with such a busy schedule? Why is it so hard for us to have a work-life balance? Why is it so hard to manage our stress and emotional eating, especially when we know the right things we need to do? And maybe you've even had experience in the past where you have actually been able to be consistent during a busy time, lose weight when everything was against you, right? So it's like, wow, I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this? I know the right things to do and I'm not doing it. And I'm just so mad at myself and I feel like a failure and what's wrong with me. And right, I hear it all the time. And then it constantly has us just stay stuck in this loop. It's the most annoying, frustrating loop that we can just stay stuck in. So listen up to these next components. So I want to educate you on why are highly driven and successful people in business, why do they sometimes have these problems? Why do they end up having the problems that lead to the poor health outcomes? So we need to talk about your upbringing in order to really shine the light on that and just, a lot of that, of what was going on in the background in those early years when your unconscious mind was being primed to become who you are today, which we celebrate who you are today, especially if you're listening as a powerful leader, an entrepreneur, business person. Like, yes, like there's so much good in that. And oftentimes, if we're really good in our professional life, our personal life can suffer if we haven't really done the deeper dive on some of these things. So maybe if you're a leader, entrepreneur, professional, and you struggle with weight loss, your growing up environment, there could have been high expectations and pressure on you. Yeah, so I have a client right now, and just with her background, has Middle Eastern background, and just that kind of is ingrained in the culture where there's high expectations in many of those backgrounds to become a doctor, to become an engineer, right? Just some of those expectations could have been there, and some of that pressure to perform and do better. Or if you were an athlete when you were young and you had, you were performing and you had a really good coach and you are around a team all the time. Again, incredible experience to have that's going to prime you to be a high performer, but also can lead you in a sense of feeling trapped when you're not performing with that pressure that was going there. So it can foster that strong drive for success. However, it can also lead to stress, burnout, constant feeling of inadequacy if those expectations aren't met. So when you compare it to dieting, it's like, okay, I'm a high performer. I have high expectations of myself to be successful. And then when you're not, again, that can lead to all this stress, anxiety, of feeling like a failure, etc. That has you just continue to yo-yo diet, right? Because it's like when I'm up, I'm good. And when I'm down, I'm really down. But like how do we be with ourselves in the gray? How do we learn how to be with ourselves in the imperfect times and situations? You may have also been from a competitive family environment. So where achievements are constantly compared, it can instill, again, that strong work ethic and ambition, which, again, we celebrate. We love that. On the downside, the environment can contribute to issues with self-worth, with perfectionism, and an inability to relax or enjoy accomplishments. So the amount of clients that I have where when they're at work, it's like, I'm good, I eat fine, when I have a busy schedule, and same for me, I used to like keep my schedule busy so that I wouldn't eat, because anytime that I had any kind of downtime or white space in my calendar, that would be like a red flag time that I may completely go off the handle and just start numbing with so much food or alcohol or what have you, to be able to get past that. So, that's an opportunity to work on and face some of those fears of the blank space so that you can actually create the work-life balance, so that you can not have emotional eating kick in during those times. And then also there could have been a lack of emotional support as you were growing up. So an upbringing where emotional support is minimal or absent can drive individuals to focus intensely on career success as a way to gain validation and sense of self-worth. So if mom and dad only really paid attention to you when you achieved something, and you learned that your emotions you weren't able to, there wasn't a safe place for you to have those emotions. You were told to go to your room or to man up or get over it, or, oh, come on, you can do better than that, or kind of poo-pooed. Then again, that could have it be like, well, where I am getting attention is this. So you just focus unconsciously all of your attention on that. So that might result in a difficulty forming deep personal relationships, which a lot of times people in business and entrepreneurs, highly driven people, have relationship problems, and managing emotional well-being. So, and if you're in any of these categories, just know, like, if there's access to support for this stuff, like, you can transform it and you can create, like, without sacrificing your business success, you can also create this more holistic way of health and being with yourself. Early responsibility. So I see this a lot for clients that you might have been given responsibility very early in life. So taking care of siblings or contributing even financially to the family, starting to work really early in life. It can foster independence and a strong work ethic. Again, great. However, it can also lead to a sense of overburden and difficulty delegating or trusting others. So obviously then you're going to be bearing the burden. And I heard a podcast recently where this person who is a health researcher actually found that people who had that sense of over responsibility, I am responsible, did end up having diseases, manifesting cancers. You're free and clear of that. But, was a thing. So I do, as a nurse, the reason I left nursing was because I was like, I need to get to people before they end up in the hospital with these, diseases. And that's probably one of the most challenging things about having people, create urgency is like, well, you may get a diagnosis because you're avoiding these emotions underneath the surface. Like if you've been struggling with food, body, and weight your whole life, like consider it's not just a small thing. Like there's, if what I'm saying is resonating, it literally could, your body keeps the score. So if you're hanging on to these emotions and whatever, and you're numbing it, avoiding it, it manifests into things we don't want, So it's just like, take it seriously, especially leaders, entrepreneurs, highly driven people. Like we see it over and over again. So that early responsibility can also be one. So, and then also a value on achievement over balance. So if, again, you're growing up in an environment where success and achievement are prioritized over balance and well-being, it can create individuals who excel professionally but struggle with work-life balance, stress management, and personal fulfillment. So if you were modeled that kind of work ethic and achievement, it just may not be something you were ever exposed to, and you might not know how to have that work-life balance. And the good news is we can learn. And then minimal attention to failure. So if failure is not acknowledged or met with harsh criticism, or is met with harsh criticism, individuals may develop a fear of failure and a relentless drive to succeed at all costs. This can result in high levels of stress and difficulty dealing with setbacks. So I loved hearing about how I don't know where it was. There was some video taken or something of a Chinese classroom, and this child was doing a math problem in front of the classroom, and he or she got the wrong answer. And when he got the wrong answer, everybody like celebrated the fact that he got the wrong answer. Like, it's the wrong answer. Like, keep going, keep trying again. Like there was like a enthusiasm for failing because there's opportunities to learn in it. And I don't believe that American culture is like that at all. And I think, we can see, Chinese culture as being very driven and never giving up and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure there's plenty of issues with that as well. But just that relationship with failure as being like, oh, this is good. This is an opportunity to learn, cheer you on, keep going. It can just be a huge night and day experience. I have a client right now, and it's just like that constant running away from failure. Yeah, and just being so concerned about that and so trapped by it. And, and even though everything inside of them is asking them to slow down and create more space for themselves and let go of some of the responsibilities, it's like there is just this, oh my gosh, I can't because I'll be a failure if I do. And, unfortunately, this person has already had breast cancer and thank God is, in remission. And it's like, to keep the remission going, it's like we do need to face some of these things to equal good health. So yeah, being okay with failure, having a better relationship with it, and accepting your humanity. That's such a big piece. Like so many of my clients are perfectionists, and diet mentality really programs perfectionism in us. And we've had the experience of how good and how high we feel when we are perfect with our diets and with the scale going down every single day. Like, I know that dopamine rush, I know the high, I know the exhilaration, but like, consider that that emotion is also not authentic. Like, super high highs and super low lows are not authentic. It's like, where authenticity is just in the being, in the now, in the right. We can appreciate when we, can feel good and have a dopamine rush, but also see outside of it as like, to think about having a high at all times is not realistic. It's not embracing that we as human beings make mistakes or life happens and different things. So, and then economic hardship as you were growing up. So, coming from a background of economic hardship can instill a strong desire to succeed financially and professionally. While this can drive success, it might also lead to an unhealthy focus on financial gain and a lack of work life balance. So, I've been working with a lot of dentists recently, and they're a very burnt out industry. They're highly anxious. If you haven't heard my episode interviewing Dr. Eric Block, he's a dentist. He talks more about that specifically. But, one client that I have specifically, it's like her mom had a relationship with money where it was hard to, come by, and they're always struggling for it and trying to find it. And, so they're just being that like decision of self of like, well, I'm never going to be in that kind of economic poverty for myself. So I'm going to work really hard and pick a career that has dollar signs on it. Right. And make sure that we're never in that space. But like, again, that decision to do that career may have just been based on dollar signs. When I was working as a nurse, there was doctors who they got all the way to their residency, and then they found that they really didn't like it. And now they're all of a sudden in so much debt. And I've heard this can happen to dentists as well. They're in so much debt, and now they're trapped. They have to do this career. And like, that's scary, because then we have not passionate doctors saving our lives, versus someone who's fully integrated and whatever. So, yeah, any decisions based off just trying to make money and have affluence, like money is not necessarily the path to happiness. It's really living in alignment with your strengths, and using your gifts that are unique to you. That's where real fulfillment is. And it's where real, like, amazing, abundant living all the way around gets to come from. If you haven't checked out, there's a resource. It's called the Clifton Strengths Finder. It might be like $60 to do, but it's a very highly accurate. The responses are like, the chances of anyone having your strengths in the order that yours is like 1 in 175,000. I don't know what it is, but it's a well-known strengths finder, and it will give you like your top 100 strengths in order. Obviously, the first 10 you can focus on, but I love my career. I'm very grateful that I found coaching, and yes, and it was just very validating when I did my strengths to see like, oh, this is why, right? Because my number one strength is restorative. So creating that like healing, healthy, environment for people to heal, whether that was in nursing, right? Whether that's in coaching, like is like my top thing. I have them listed over here. Like another one is positivity. I don't think these are in order. Ideation, being good with people. Ideation means like having ideas and being excited about them. Harmony, like I love when my groups are in harmony and everybody's like collaborating together, as well as competition. Yeah. And then significance as well. So being on stages and, is more self-competition with myself. So it's getting that no matter what career I chose, if my gifts, if my strengths are something I get to use every day, like that's where real, again, abundance, that's where it feels good, it feels easy, that's where you love work. So if you just chose an occupation based on money and fear and I need to have this to make sure X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, that's easy place for burnout. So a lot of times when clients come to me, as we continue working together, we see like their career may not be aligned, their relationship may not be aligned, so it's like we got to line it up, because when it comes to achieving permanent weight loss, we really need to have a holistic approach. The statistic is that it's 80% of people who lose weight with diet and exercise, they will gain their weight back, and a lot of times more than what they originally did or had or lost within the first 2 years after the diet. I have a client who, he said to me, he was like, I know that I could just go and do another weight loss plan because I've lost weight in the past doing that, but I gained it all back, and like that, it feels like that would be like insanity for me to do that again, because it's been so painful after all that hard work to gain it all back again. And it's like, we're smart people, especially as business owners, so it's like, we may consider, you may have evolved out of dieting. Like, I honestly think dieting is super out of date. I'm going to be making a new webinar soon that I'm excited about. But if you look back to like the weight loss industry, in the 80s, the early 90s, I just think about like, I wasn't, anyway, remember when they used to have in gyms, like you would step on a thing and it would just like jiggle your body, and they thought that like led to the weight loss. And just like, the Jane Fonda tapes and all these types of things, nothing wrong with them, but it's just like, certain things, it just like feels laughable now, like, and consider like Atkins, and like it's just kind of like, ugh, like it doesn't feel good anymore, it's out of date. And and we've learned that, again, like these are temporary things, it doesn't actually work. And I just see all of those other measures of like the ways to lose weight as being like low vibration, low energy, and no judgment if it's feeling really good to you, whatever you're following. But if it resonates with you, it's just like, then just don't try to do something that doesn't feel like it's, helpful or cool anymore, and let's learn from the past. Let's learn from the statistics of why the weight loss industry is, worth billions of dollars and the fact that everybody's gaining their weight back, of being like, okay, and obviously recently with Ozempic and the GLP-1 drugs coming out, the injections, fine if you're, using that. I have a lot of clients who have and are and did, and but it's also recognizing, and I've done a lot of research on them, that as soon as you don't have access to that drug, it is guaranteed that you will gain the weight back. So I was having a great conversation at a chamber event meeting just a couple weeks ago, and was sharing to this guy about the work that I was doing. He was actually also a leadership coach. And we were talking about how, similarly to how if you get diagnosed with anxiety and you're put on some kind of anxiety medication, a good, practitioner would also recommend or demand that you also get therapy, because it's like, you don't want to just be reliant on that. So even if you are in the drug, it's like, how can you also set yourself up for long-term success by learning how to be a different way with your schedules and with your, why you're burnt out, and like getting your life in alignment, so that you can have, again, that permanent result. So hope this conversation has been helpful. I have so many other inspirations for what to talk about. Just awesome things going on in the program with our clients. But I think what I'm super excited about that I've been present to has been that prior to starting Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, I came from an extremely masculine dieting situation. And so it was so masculine. And so then pivoting all the way into the intuitive eating and into the feminine was like what I needed to do. And I was so burnt out from that. And I think something that has been missing was the balance, though, between how do we also like beautifully get to bring back in the masculine, to have that balance in your life. So if there's any past clients listening to this, just know, like, I'm going to be reaching out soon with some cool, like $5,000 free opportunity to actually learn how to balance both, because we've been adding it into the program. But just like as a little whatever to that, little gem to that, gemstone. I was having this conversation on our group call last week on this. And the main thing is that if you are super in the masculine, aka you might be a business owner or an entrepreneur or a highly driven person, consider that the noise of like the shoulds and the have tos and if I don't and oh my gosh, what if I fail is the stuff that's getting in the way of your being able to actually hear your intuition and listen and surrender and have that easier experience. And so once we actually do the first part of the heal process that I have, if you haven't listened to my master class, go and grab it. It's inside the, when you're listening to this podcast, you'll have that link, but you text the word hypnosis to 1-855-232-5483 and goes through all the steps of the heal method. But hypnosis, emotional mastery for the H and the E, we need to support you in getting out of those trauma-based reactions based on your upbringing, like to get past the fear and the anxiety and the stress using the hypnosis and using all the NLP tools to support you to get through that. And then we can start to bring in that beautiful blend of like, okay, now I can actually start to hear my own intuition. Now I'm starting to get a little bit better at trusting that, like, oh, that little whisper of what I want to do to support my health and to help me get towards the weight loss could be just like, it's like a beautiful, easy step to take. With dieting, it's very all or nothing thinking, very black and white, which can lead to yo-yo dieting and up and down weight all the time our whole lives. And so to actually, again, the reason that's happening is because of all the hard on yourself and the, based on your background that I said in this episode of, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, that's what's in the way. So we move past that. Now you can listen to your intuition. And now you can take, again, those just like more subtle, easy actions. Because when we're playing the long game, when you're looking for health over time, it's like, it's just these little tweaks. That was something that really helped me was I would always think like, oh, my eating's off. I need to turn the dial completely in the other direction and start that crazy restrictive diet tomorrow. Who can relate? Right? And it's just like, okay, actually, we don't want to do that. Like, what if it's actually, we just subtly boop, just like a little like, ooh, like, oh, this feels nice. And now this feels nice. Oh, now I have space for this. Oh, and now I'd like to do this. Now I'd like to do this. And now I like to do this. And be like, oh, I went on vacation, went a little bit like this. And like, but now it's easily like, I just want to do this now. And I want to do this now. Right. So it's not just that line that we get from being perfect on the diets. Like it's definitely like the road is more like this, but again, the enjoyment of the road. So then having for yourself, like you can have the weight loss goal, right? My clients have their weight loss goals. Some of them are specific on the number they want to get to, and some of them just, want less weight on them. So you can have that. And they were asking me like, how do I stay unattached to the outcome, right? So it's like the masculine is the goal. And it's like, yes, you can have that. But then we want to surrender that goal. You still have it, but you're not attached to it. You're not making major decisions because essentially what it's like is if you go to plant little seeds in your garden and you really want to have the vegetables in the garden, you don't expect that tomorrow the vegetables have grown. It would be absolutely crazy to keep digging up this vegetable, to like see how it's doing. But we actually want to pay attention that as you are taking these self-care actions and just tweaking a little bit. So it's like, ooh, it's been dry. I'm going to give it a little more water. Ooh, it's been, I see that the plant is too much in the shade. Like, let me move it to the sun, right? And it's just like, you're just, right? It's just these little, like, and you're watching it and you're like, oh, that's what it looks like now. And, oh, I think it needs a little bit of that. And then you start to see like the little, greens coming up and you're like, ooh, that's a great sign. We're doing a good job. So it's like in this journey that we're paying attention to, ooh, that's a great sign. I'm doing a good job. And we're proud of ourselves and we're getting trust back with ourselves and we're getting empowered to say like, I actually can take care of myself and my health on my own without following a diet. And it's really about just like enjoying that journey of seeing it grow, until one day you do have that carrot, right? Until one day I was free from food, body, and weight and it was a non-issue. And then I was ready to like take on some new terrain, right? Like the money terrain that I took on that I also got to get past recently. So, that's really just like how you get to that beautiful blend. You can have the goal, you can have the structure, but when you surrender and hang on to it lightly and be using your intuition and feelings for what you intuitively feel like you need to do to nurture yourself, and just ask yourself, like, do I think that this action over time that I feel good about is going to lead to weight loss over time? And if the answer is yes, it's like, great, then we'll just keep going and keep trusting the process and keep looking within ourselves to see if we need to course correct at all. So that's just a little bit of, what's been going on as far as that goes. So I hope this has been helpful. If you're ready to just start actually looking at these foundational patterns, I'm just so super excited about the program and how it's helping people. Just this last week, I had clients that were just so in that like fear-based, oh my God, what if I fail? And oh my God, there's so much pressure to get this permanent weight loss in this period of time. But everything turned from them this week and they're enjoying the process. Like my one client, she's just like glowing, and it was just one conversation and just healing some of these inner, right, patterns based on the childhood stuff of mom not emotionally validating her was why she was so putting so much pressure on herself. And when she saw that and got that, it's like, she's like, yeah, my body isn't where I want it to be, but I'm happy. Like, I'm proud of myself. And like, I'm just going to keep taking these steps towards my future. So love that so much. So check out the website, hpwl.co, book a call with me. August is looking great for times on my calendar. July was a little hairy. And I can't wait to support you. Thanks for listening. And Leslie Thornton signing off. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.